Hi. So, I just wanted to pop on really quick and let you know that my schedule is changing a bit. I think. I don't know. So, for that reason, I'm going to close my books for personal readings for the time being. Obviously, the people who already have readings scheduled, nothing changes for you. We will do those readings on those dates and times, but I'm just not going to take any new bookings, at least for right now. So obviously, I will let you know if that changes. We're talking about May. Shouts out to you, May babies, Taurus and Gemini. I'm a cusper. My birthday is on the 20th. Oh my gosh. So, anyway, without further ado, let's get into the reading. We're going to be using the Angels and Ancestors Oracle deck. And then we're using this tarot deck. I need to find the name of it. It doesn't come with a book, which is really annoying to me, but I'll figure it out. I'll Google it because I have no clue. I got it a couple years ago. So without further ado, and obviously because of my schedule, the videos are going to come out probably a bit more sporadically. Just an FYI on that too, if you care. But yeah, let's get into it. All right, let's see who's next. 4-6. Oh, okay. Oh, I just kind of got like a pain in my back all of a sudden. Are you okay? I'm trying to make these a little bit shorter because your girl can be long-winded sometimes. But like I said at the beginning, things changed time-wise. Like I went from having an abundance of time to having the opposite. So, things change. That's just life. And reason for me saying all this is because, these readings are still very much a priority for me. And I still absolutely love putting these messages out there, out to you. And, if I make them shorter, I can do more in a day. So that's the point in saying all of that shit. Before we get here, though, if you are here, then you would be a 4-6 profile. If you don't know your profile, you can just do a Google search for human design profile, human design chart, and get your profile that way. But that 4th line is the opportunist line. The 6th line is the role model. The 4th line is all about networking. It's, you might not have, you could have a network of friends or, close friends, but it's more like you just know people. You might just kind of know people sporadically or just that are part of different, what am I trying to say? Groups or organizations or just a plethora of different collections of people. I don't know why I'm struggling to define that all of a sudden, but it is about, though, your best opportunities are going to be found within the people that you know. And it doesn't even necessarily have to be, it's just mentioning something. Let's just say, for example, if you're looking for a job, you could just mention to a friend or, again, an acquaintance, hey, I'm looking for a job. Just let me know if you hear of anything. And then all of a sudden, somehow, a job would work its way back to you. Somebody would say, hey, you said you were looking for a job. Well, I heard through Blue Blam Bloom that this place was hiring. So, let me get you in touch with, the person over there. I mean, dating, like you could meet people through friends or friends of friends, or, I don't know why I always think of like barbecues, or, like going to places where there are people. But again, that opportunist line is, and it's also about like making connections. Like you might find it, I don't want to say easy, because it's not necessarily like it's easy meeting people, but again, it's like the right people might come into your life at the right time. The sixth line, the role model line, it has the 3 tiers where for the first 30 years of your life, you live as a 4-3. My dog is active right now. So he's drinking water, going in and out, just walking around. So anyway, sorry if you can hear all that. So the first 30 years of your life, the sixth line acts as a 3. So the third line is the martyr line. That's all about trial and error. It's all about like learning through experience. Like you wouldn't have been the type of person that could be told what to do, or told that something works, or told that something doesn't work. You're like, no. I need to figure that out for myself. Like I need to try it. I need to do it because I need to see what happens, right? It's all about making and breaking bonds, like life bumping up against you, the ebb and flow of that. And like I said, that would be from the time that you were born until your Saturn return. And then after your Saturn return until the age of about 50, it's called going up on the roof. And at that point, it's about unpacking the first 30-ish years of your life. And it is about, sifting through what works, what doesn't work, what did I like, what didn't I like, what lessons did I learn, what experiences did I have, what could help me in the future, what doesn't help me now, So, and it's also about like part of that purpose is to universalize it to the people that you know, or the people that are, kind of familiar with you. And, that those people, whoever was around, the people that you made or broke bonds with through the first 30 years of your life would have had an impact on you, with the fourth line being on the conscious side and the sixth line being on the subconscious or the design side. Like maybe, a lot of the lessons that you learned how to do with other people, and how, even those experiences shaped your personality, your character, your identity, right? So again, from 30-ish to about 50, you're unpacking all of that stuff. You're also, kind of like getting stable. You're deciding, what you want to do with your life. What do you want to continue doing? What do you want to explore? After about 50-ish, you come off of the roof full, role model. And that's not to say that, like you're going to be on a stage. You certainly can be if you want to be. But it's more like, if people were to come to you and ask for advice, or, they see you operating your life in a certain capacity, in a certain way, and they're like, wow, how did you get to a place where this is your life? You have the capacity, you have the information to share that with them, and they'll listen. Now, the profile is only one aspect of your human design chart. You have your type, which comes with the strategy and authority. That's going to help you enter into the quote unquote correct experiences for you, even if they may not make sense to you at the time. And then your profile is how you interact with those experiences and the energies of those experiences. So again, right, like it's just one aspect of your chart. There's a lot to explore in there. So with that being said, we have High Priest, intend and create. I love that. Very focused. Like this is very focused energy to me. We have this figure that's focusing. We have the bird that's even focusing in the same direction. So it's like pulling all of your energy and, like focusing on the goal. What is your intention? What do you want to create out of that intention? Is this 6 cards? Okay. Interesting. We have the 9 of Swords, Son of Cups, or the Knight of Cups. We have the 9 of Wands, the Lovers, 10 of Swords, 5 of Wands, and the High Priestess at the bottom of the deck. The Tower card behind that, Temperance. Okay, I was kind of chuckling because the reading that I just did before this one, the Tower card came out. Actually, the last 2 readings that I did, the Tower card came out. But I think Temperance did too. 2 of Pentacles, the 8 of Pentacles, the Daughter of Pentacles, 4 of Pentacles, 2 of Swords were also at the bottom of the deck. Now, I shuffle these cards between readings. I shuffle them during the reading. So it's always just kind of so fascinating to me when that happens because it's rare. But, whatever. It's, obviously the energy, the message was, it needs to come through that way too. But anyway, so we start with the 9 of Swords. This can be very relationship driven. I don't traditionally, typically, whatever, do relationship readings. It's just not, it's just not my bag. But obviously, if it comes through that way, then, we talk about it. But for me and like relationships, we talk about you because it all starts with self, right? Like it all starts with us first. And, of course, we can only give as far as we give ourselves. We can only see as far as we can see within ourselves. And okay, that being said, we start with the 9 of Swords. And the 9 of Swords, first of all, 9s are individual completion. So there is a level of finality with the 9 of Swords. Swords has to do with our minds, our thoughts, our perceptions. Swords are also about truth, like divine truth, honesty. It's logic, right? It's absence of emotion. So there's even an objectivity, kind of aspect to the swords. And it's also ego because generally that's where we hear our ego is in our minds. And our ego is created by the stories that we attach to experiences, right? And human design is this huge deconditioning journey. I feel like, and maybe this has been your experience too, but I feel like human design tends to like find people or present itself to people when they're at like a pinnacle point of like healing and a paradigm shift, because it will break your shit all the way down in a good way. It's very validating. So the 9 of Swords, going back to it, that's like the 3rd time I've said the 9 of Swords. Now that's the 4th, is traditionally attached to anxiety, fear, worry. Like it has this energy of like keeping you up at night type of vibe. We have this like industrial kind of vibe on this card with the, you know, I don't know what these things are actually called. The word just like totally left my mind. That's like pumping out steam or smoke, whatever that is. So, I mean, there could be something that you are like in the middle of releasing, because like I said, nines are all about individual completion. I mean, we even have the 10 of swords out here, which is like the true, kind of completion. That's like, this is a little bit of analysis paralysis with the 9 of swords. The 10 of swords is like, you have thought about every which way something could go or something is, or what you think it is, and there's like, all that you can do is just release, right? But I know we're getting ahead of ourselves here. And, it's paired with the Lovers card. Lovers is traditionally Gemini. You can have, maybe you have significant placement in Gemini, maybe not. You don't have to. We're going into Gemini season, or we are in Gemini season. Hello. I'm like, what day is this? So, there could be just kind of some resolution coming in Gemini season where, like whatever this fear, anxiety, whatever this mental gymnastics stuff is for you, there could be some sort of like resolution coming in Gemini season or by the end of Gemini season. But the Lovers card, I mean, of course, just because of the words, the Lovers, it can be relationship. And the reason why I was saying relationship at the beginning is because we also have the Knight of Cups here. So, there could be things that you are unpacking that have to do with relationships that doesn't even specifically have to be romantic. It certainly can be, but, it can be friendships, it can be business partnerships, it can be, your relationship to your family, your relationship to yourself even. But the Lovers is also about, traditionally there is a masculine energy and a feminine energy. So it's very kind of yin and yang. And it talks about the balance between those two energies and really even, kind of the magic that can be created when those two energies are in balance. It has this aspect of, decisions and making a choice with the Lovers card. Also, I mean, we can see these two birds on here, and it's kind of like, I don't know specifically what these birds are, but, have you seen in like Planet Earth or whatever, those birds that like do those death dives, as far as like a mating ceremony? That's how this, like kind of feels to me. But it also does have like a yin and yang, type of vibe to it though, right? So again, you could be unpacking relationships, whatever, capacity that is for you. And even, like maybe your idea of whatever relationship means for you, maybe that's even changing. I'm just going back to this intend and create card. Like, maybe there is a shift of focus. It's also interesting how the two cards that have people on them, they're both facing left. And the left side of the card is the past. The right side of the card is the future. So this could be unpacking some previous baggage that comes with relationships. Even, like I said, it can be your relationship to relationships. Like, what has been the way that you have, thought about or envisioned, like relationships to be? Again, that can be changing, which is beautiful. I mean, we should always be open-minded, like allowing ourselves to evolve and change. And, like no doubt, whatever this is, it may not be the final idea or creation even that you come up with. And it's also interesting that there's birds. There's this dead bird right here. So I don't know what type of birds these are. This looks like maybe a hawk or falcon. I don't know if the book is even going to say, but let me just, because I don't know, like maybe it's one of those things where if you see it, yeah, in many traditions, a high priest is a physical embodiment of the divine masculine. So, you could be unpacking your relationship to, your father or father figure and how that has even had an impact on the relationships that you've had. And again, we're talking father because it's a high priest, but it's again, even just like the masculine energy, because even with the Lovers card, right, there's the masculine and the feminine involved in there. I was trying to see, what was I doing? Oh yeah, I was trying to see if if it mentions this bird, and it does not. In a reading, this card can represent a spiritual figure, leader, or teacher in your life, or an aspect of your path that has led you to where you are today. Deeper understanding of yourself and your spirit. Yeah, like you could even be exploring like your own masculine side, regardless of, your gender identity. Like, you could just be exploring the masculine side, and the masculine side is, about initiation, hunter gatherer, kind of vibe, go getting, hustling, protection, very interesting. And then we have the Knight of Cups, and the Knight of Cups is traditionally the knight in shining armor of the tarot. They're usually offering their cup to somebody else. It could be you offering your cup to somebody else. It could be somebody offering their cup to you. It is some sort of message, though, of an offering. It can be an apology. But in this card, this knight looks like he's drinking from his own cup. It's interesting, because it's like, I'm kind of getting this vibe of like, have relationships just maybe not gone the way that you envisioned, again, right? Because like I was saying before, like maybe the fantasy is changing in some aspect based on the experience that you've had, the bonds that you have had, the bonds that have been broken. And it's almost kind of like, at first I was like, is this kind of like a narcissist, or like, just kind of like lower vibe, like, instead of offering your cup, you're just gonna drink it yourself, like arrogant or something, but I didn't mention that because that's not really like what I was feeling from it. This almost just kind of feels like you drinking from your own cup instead of offering it to either people who don't deserve your cup, or just not, like offering your cup up like right away, like taking your time a bit more. Maybe it's wine and he's like smelling it, like, how with wine tastings and stuff, you swirl the wine around. You're supposed to smell it, get it into your sense of smell before, like you taste it. So again, it's like, maybe your whole process of entering into relationships is changing. And maybe that's even because your intention and what you want to create is changing. Again, they're looking at, they're looking at this Nine of Swords, but they're technically looking at the past. So again, it could even just be breaking down, kind of what what you were doing in the past or the type of relationships that you had in the past. Even, you can see that there's kind of these like caverns. There's this water here. So this definitely, it's like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like going on like a journey within. Very interesting. And then, like I said, we have the 10 of Swords here. And this 10 of Swords is so interesting because, again, right, we were saying before, tens are a completion. There is definitely finality going on here. We have this carcass. There's these 10 swords in it, but there's also, it's like keepsakes or sentimental something. There's a spring, there's a chain, there's a bottle cap, there's a safety pin in there. Just, like this random stuff that maybe doesn't necessarily have a meaning to other people, but it has meaning to you, right? That's sentimental. So it's either, uncovering those things, or maybe there's something that's even shifting within that. Maybe it's even like breaking down what you thought was sentimental was like really just junk. And not to say, that, I mean, look, I I have a whole little keepsake box from, like when I was a teenager. And yeah, it's all junk. Like if somebody were to pull it out, they would be like, what the fuck? Why did you keep this? And I would be able to say, like, I kept that because, like whatever memory is attached to that thing. So, maybe there is some level, of releasing that, specifically because we're talking 10 of Swords here. Like release, letting it go. And speaking of release, we have the 9 of Wands here paired with the 5 of Wands, which is interesting. And really, it's only interesting because we have 2 air cards here. We have 2 fire cards over here. I don't know. That's just how my brain works. But the 9 of Wands is usually like the wounded warrior card. But like we said, and it's interesting that we have 2 nines on either side of this Knight of Cups too. So there could just be like a specific person that is bringing all of this up for you. Like they might have been the person that has, kind of taught you the most about this subject. And again, it doesn't have to be a romantic partner. It certainly can be, but I don't want to necessarily like, box this into just one specific thing. I'm sure you get that. But wands have to do with action. It's, it's the motivation behind the actions that we take. It's creativity, it's passion, desire, like what actions are we taking towards those things? How are we communicating about those things? And when we get to the 9 of Wands, I also see wands as being information, because that's what we get by trying things, right? We discover what we like, we discover what we don't like, what works, what doesn't work. All these, life experiences, it's all information, right? And it's wisdom, basically, which, is very 6th line of you. But by the time we get to the 9 of Wands, like our ass is thoroughly kicked. And it also says that, you have personally, like there is this level of completion here, like the hardest part is done, but you're not quite at the finish line yet. So, take a breath, take a rest, but you can't give up. Like you just can't. And like I was saying over here with this release, we have these lanterns here, and usually, when you see these lanterns, for me anyway, I get this feeling of like a ceremonial thing about releasing, letting go of something. The little fire in here is creating the ability for these lanterns to fly away. I mean, like you could even, like, I think I mentioned, I'm not sure if I did, but there's a full moon in Sagittarius this weekend. Sagittarius is fire. Like you could even write down your intentions and what you intend to create and light them on fire. Safely, of course. Don't hurt yourself. Don't, burn a building down or anything like that. I mean, disclaimer, disclaimer, disclaimer. Okay, be safe. But again, right, there is this level of completion. So the hardest part is done. You're not there yet. And we know that because the Five of Wands is at the end. And the Five of Wands, fives are transitionary energies. The Five of Wands traditionally talks about, kind of conflict or competition. But anytime I see the Five of Wands, I think about Milan. It's one of my favorite movies of all time anyway. But, like when they go to warrior training, speaking of warriors with the Nine of Wands, right? But when they go to warrior training, and it is a shit show. Because even like, look at this card. The arrow isn't even pointing in the right direction. So if they were to like release this, they're probably going to like stick this arrow in themselves. It's like, so, it was a bit of a shit show with, like when everybody first kind of got there, didn't know what they're doing. And the prince was like, oh my God, there's no way I can turn these people into warriors. And then, they just started working at it, right? And that's the Five of Wands. There's this like training and like conditioning aspect to it. And eventually, when all seemed, like lost, right? Like Mulan kind of took charge and climbed that pole, and it like totally shifted, the energy of things. But the purpose of the Five of Wands is to set you up for success, because the card that comes after the Five of Wands is the Six of Wands. And the Six of Wands is, success after turbulence, or success after, kind of a hard time. I know we don't have the Six of Wands out here, but, again, the hardest part is done, but it's not quite to completion here. There's still more to explore. And then we have the High Priestess at the bottom of the deck, which is Cancer or Pisces, depending on who you ask, because it's related to or connected to the moon. And the moon traditionally is ruled over Cancer. But again, it depends on who you ask. The High Priestess for me is our direct connection to our star player, to our higher self. Now, I mean, that could be whatever higher power you believe in, if you believe in a higher power. It could be, if you don't necessarily believe in a higher power, it can be your intuition, because we all have that. But this is, like really being tuned in. This is that intend and create. It's also interesting that the High Priestess is the counterpart to the High Priest. So that's interesting. That's weird. Or how is that? That's suspicious. That's weird. And maybe that's how that saying goes. This also has big third eye energy to it. Big, again, like intuition, being divinely guided. And, maybe that is what this Five of Wands is. It's about, reconnecting to self, higher self. Really, kind of plugging into that universe juice, right? We have the Tower card. Tower is associated to Mars. Mars is connected to Aries. There can be an Aries involved. There doesn't have to be. You can be an Aries. You don't have to be. But the Tower card is sudden upheaval. It's, structures crumbling, behaviors crumbling, belief systems crumbling. We have this lightning strike that's hitting this tent here. There's this wildfire going on back there. It's, it's a bit chaotic. But the purpose of the Tower is to take out what is no longer serving. whether those are timelines that are being closed out because maybe there was something left open-ended that, we wanted closure on. And, closure is typically an ego thing anyway. And, there may not be closure needed. And the Tower can be uncomfortable if we are either resisting or it's happening outside of our choice, which definitely can and has, happened before. But again, the purpose of it is to free up all of this energy that's been allocated to these beliefs, these people, these timelines, these whatever. And it frees that energy up to be available to the things that do serve us, that are for our highest good. And then we have the Temperance card behind, and Temperance is Sagittarius. So, again, with the fire, fire energy, we have 3 fire cards out here. No, 2 fire cards. I thought the 9 of Swords was 3 air cards. Temperance is about alchemy and patience. It's turning water into wine, fire into water, which is interesting. I don't know why that just came to my head. I don't even know if that's a thing. But I always think about chocolate. Maybe that's because I'm a Taurus sun. But I always think about chocolate when Temperance comes out, because there are certain steps that you have to take in order to properly temper chocolate. I've never done it before. I've seen it done on the Food Network, so I'm an expert now. JK. But, there are certain steps that you have to take to properly temper chocolate. And if you try to rush through those steps or skip some steps, then your chocolate isn't going to temper correctly. It's ruined. You literally have to start from scratch. So that's, temperance is this vibe of, things coming together in divine timing, and which has nothing to do with our own timing, which sucks sometimes. But, again, like that patience aspect of allowing those things to come together in divine timing. Even, you might even want to look up peacock and, like the symbolism behind a peacock. I mean, it's still a bird. And especially just, like this beautiful card with it on there. We have the 2 of Pentacles, which is about balance. Pentacles having to do with our money, our physical body, our home. Again, it can't even be like juggling responsibilities, but even just, like this balance kind of aspect to this card. We have this infinity symbol. Energy can be shifting in some capacity. It doesn't go away. It doesn't, end. It just, kind of changes. 8 of Pentacles, is about practice, kind of what you are putting your time and attention into. It's also interesting because, this bee, it's either revealing this, window here, which looks a lot like what's going on in the High Priestess card. So there could even just be like, again, I was saying with the High Priestess, like, really kind of connecting into like really, even making it part of your daily practice with the 8 of Pentacles. The Daughter of Pentacles or the Page of Pentacles, seed sprouting here. And we can keep going, but like I said, I wanted to kind of keep these a little short. And I am going to leave it there. So thank you for allowing me to read your cards, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.